Today's episode is the fourth part of the Business, Pleasure and Sex series. Hello and welcome to the Successful, Sensitive and Intuitive Entrepreneur podcast. My name is Lydia Sophia Wilmsen and I am an intuitive success mentor for sensitive entrepreneurs. In this podcast, I speak about the challenges sensitive and intuitive entrepreneurs face. I offer you new perspectives and solutions, as well as experiences of other entrepreneurs. Plus, I speak about my personal experience of being a highly sensitive person who has successfully built and scaled 2 businesses. All of that with the goal to make you and your business even more successful in your very unique and authentic way. Have fun and enjoy. And just to forewarn you, I'm sitting in the middle of nowhere here in France, and there are some noises outside. There are horses running around. Some people are playing tennis. So just in case, don't wonder. It's a beautiful surrounding, and I'm very much enjoying myself here. So what am I going to talk about today? In the first part of this 4-part series, I spoke about feminine and masculine energies, and I invited you to take a closer look at which end you found yourself, more at the feminine or the masculine end. And then in the next part, I dove into the question of how to stay feminine and have business success. In the third episode, I talked about how to use masculine energies without sacrificing the feminine. And today, I want to address the issue of conformity, which has been part of the experience of many, many women especially, but also men. So this is today's topic: how to let go of conforming in business and also in sex. As you know, this series circles around not only business, but also sex and pleasure. So yeah, I will give you some ideas on that part as well. Because they are connected. How you do one thing in life, you basically do everything. This issue of conforming, it's also a big issue for sensitive and introverted souls, as they early on learned the way they felt and thought and viewed the world wasn't appreciated. So from childhood on, very sensitive and introverted people, they learn that they are not okay, that they are not right how they are. Yeah, it wasn't appreciated how they were. And a world focused on goals, on achievement, on quicker, faster and further, on sacrificing depth to superficiality, on suppressing emotions instead of leaning into them. Being a sensitive soul can really be challenging. And which is one of the reasons why so many of us started to dim down our sensitivity, like our super rich inner worlds, our emotional capacity. And we resorted to conforming to what we thought was expected from us. So this really is an episode for you if you had the feeling you weren't okay as you were, however that was, and you thought you had to dim your light, you had to be different, and you became conforming to what you thought other people wanted from you, expected from you, or what the world expected from you. And therefore I chose to create a whole episode on this topic, as it actually affects every area in life. Business, relationships, friendships, education, sex, fun topic of course, like really everything. I already mentioned where conforming comes from, and I want to go a bit more in detail on that part first and why it is an issue at all. Because you could say like, yeah, okay, if you want to conform, just do it, like who cares? So I want to show you some, or give you some ideas why it actually is detrimental for you, but also the world if you keep doing that. And then I will give you ways of how to break free from this limiting way of being in life and how to start to connect with your original, true way of being again, more and more. Because there is a different you inside of you, basically. We learn to be polite, we learn to conform, to not speak our mind, to not be the way we are from birth on, and much more horrible things. Like this is just one thing, and obviously there is a whole different level of trauma which can happen in early childhood days. And then later on, when we had enough, in adolescence, we practice being against everything we learned before and how we grew up. We practice finding our own voice and our own personality. However, it is, as mentioned before, an outcry against what we were conditioned to be, behave, and believe before. It really is like breaking free from conformity while still having the old way of being as focal point. So you understand, it's just the opposite side. Before you conformed and now you do the opposite of conforming. However, that way of how others wanted you to be is still the focal point. And by the way, I'm not saying that there is anything wrong with it. Like, by all means, this is such an important period in life. What I want to say is, like, I'm speaking out for even more awareness, healing, and doing the inner work. So for me, it is not that we shouldn't, or that adolescence is not important and being against is bad. What I want to say, this is not enough. This is just looking at the same thing from a different perspective, but this is not transcendence. And you obviously know me by now if you have been following my podcast, doing the inner work, healing and all of that. This is, what I always propose to you. So just to clarify that a little bit further, conformity and being a rebel are two ends of the same spectrum. For a long time, I thought being more rebellious meant I wasn't conforming so much anymore. Like, you know how I grew up. So for me, being rebellious against whatever came my way was my way of thinking, now I'm breaking free from that. That I had finally broken free. And then to just figure out at some point that it was, the opposite of the same coin. Conforming and conformity in the way I use it means to bend your original way of being towards the way you think others want you to be. This is really how I mean it. Like, conforming means you change your way of being so that you think it fits into the perspective of other people, into the opinion of other people. So you are not your true natural being. You conform to the ideas of other people. Being rebellious, then, is behaving in the opposite way of how you think others want you to be. So you still create your behavior around the opinion of others. You're just doing the opposite you think others expect from you. So you're still not doing what is right for you. You're just doing the opposite what you think others want from you. So conformity is doing what others want from you. And rebellion, or being rebellious, means you're doing the opposite what you think others want from you. And becoming free of the way you think others want you to be, detaching from the opinions of others, connecting more and more with your own unique core way of being, thinking, relating, feeling, free of guilt, fear, and shame. This creates massive amounts of freedom, of authenticity, of basically ultimate joy. Yeah, so what's the issue with conforming? As I said before, why should you change that? The biggest issue in my eyes is that you are not fully yourself. You hold back from the world your true inner core. You show a mask. You show a shell, an armor, like you have an armor around yourself, and this is what other people see. And you never live up to your full potential. Yeah, it might sound minor. And I think this is actually a huge disease in our world because it creates shallowness, it creates lots of superficiality, it creates loss of true beauty and loss of the wide range of emotions. It is basically life in the comfort zone. And millions of people choose that every day. It means living from fear and not from your heart. It means taking diversity, creativity, and joy from the world. And this is why I choose the work, or why I chose the work I do. Because I think it's one of the most important things in our world to create or to help people step back into their own power, into being themselves. This is missing in our lives and in our world. So it's not a minor thing. It's actually one of the biggest things you can do. And this will create a different behavior, different actions from you when you step back into, or not back, if you, for the first time in your life, be fully you. It creates a different world in the end. And on a personal level, it means that you'll always be on a lookout. So if you stay in conformity, if you stay conforming to what others think, say, and believe, and what their opinions are, if you stay conforming to that, you will always be on the lookout. You will always follow fear and not love. So you don't follow what you want. You don't follow your own true desires. You don't see yourself worthy enough to go for your dreams. You will do the seemingly right thing, but not what your heart tells you to do. In my eyes, this is one of the biggest crimes against human beings, that people conform and are not themselves anymore, or never have been. So you will do the seemingly right thing and not what your heart tells you to do. And your desires, the desires you have and those that society tells you that you should have, they are often vastly different. For example, in business, you'll follow the herd. You follow you follow the strategies of those who shout the loudest. And you don't necessarily follow what is your true authentic way of being or of doing business. You will just do something because the loudest person screamed about it, and then you follow that. And it might be totally against your own character, against your own desires, against your own discernment, against your own intuition. And conformity has led you to believing that what others say and want is better or more important than what you have to say and what you want. And this is one of the most horrific things, I would say. Really, this is wrong. Like, your desires, your dreams, your way of being and doing is all that is needed. There is not you. Like, you are not needed to be someone different. You are actually needed to be yourself. And I would also say this is one of the bravest things to do, to work on that and change that and become or go or be that person again you were meant to be, basically. And then conforming happens in business, in relationships, in sex. I have talked to countless women who have not done the work, and I have been one of them myself, obviously. And I would also say you are not being done for the rest of your life. That's a lifelong process. So with the way we grow up, with the way we think we have to be and how we have to perceive pleasure, how we have to pleasure others. So when it comes to sex, there is so much shame connected to this. And it takes away huge amounts of joy, of pleasure, of ecstasy, of life, of real life from women on a daily basis. And sex becomes a dreaded, boring, even like hurtful activity. So yeah, conforming, I would say, creates horrible things. If you conform, you do things you don't want to do. You hurt yourself, and in the long run, you hurt others because you teach that to your children. You teach that to other people because people don't know what you want. If you have no idea what you want and if you don't stand up for what you want. So conforming in the long run is hurtful to the whole planet. Okay, so let's go a little bit more into the area of solutions. How can you let go of decades of conforming? So if you're in your 30s now and you know that this is an issue for you, whether it's big or just like a minor issue, you probably have been in the conforming game for decades, from your childhood on. So how can you let go of that? What can you do? You know me, the first part always is the inner work. The inner work has to be done. What does this mean in that case? It means clarity on what you want after years and years of doing what others want. Like, the first step is to get clarity on what you want after years and years of doing what others want. Like, you really have to reconnect with your own desires, with your own wants and needs. How do you want to do business? How do you want to live your daily life? What do you want to experience? And remember, everything is possible. How do you want your relationships to be? Your friendships? Your family connections? How do you want your sex life to be? What do you freaking want? This is the first part, to gain clarity on what you want. And actually, that's a big step. I know so many people, I know so many women, I know so many of my clients who didn't have a clue in the beginning. It was just like, I don't know what I want. I've been conforming for like my whole life. What do I actually want? With that comes a lot of like giving yourself permission to actually step into desires. And in the beginning, those people, they don't come up with anything. It's like, what do I want? I have no idea. And you have to start focusing on it, like journal on it every day and focus on it every day. And then more ideas come to your mind every day. And in the beginning, it really can be, I actually have no idea what I want. I don't know where I want to live. I don't know what kind of relationship I want. I have no idea what kind of sex I want or how this could ever be different. I have no idea. Like, people have lost imagination. I have no idea where I would like to go on vacation. I have no idea what I want in business, how it should be, what feelings I want to have, what kind of strategies I really would like to do. Would I like to do videos? Would I like to go to networking events? Would I like to do speaking engagements? Would I like to just sit at home and write a book? Would I like to do a TEDx talk? Would I like actually work with people one-to-one? Would I like to do group things like group programs? Would I not like to work with people at all? One of my friends, she's an artist, and figuring out what she wants, where she would like to work, it's such a biggie for her. So it sounds easy in the beginning. You need to know what you want. And actually, it's a big step. And especially if you have been conforming to other people's ideas on how your life should be, like what your parents told you and what friends tell you, what partners tell you. That's a big step for you to gain clarity on what you want. And also when you go to the next level, you have to experience, or you have to really understand what the next level expression of your own life is. If you already lead an amazing life, like I'm leading an amazing life, I'm traveling, I'm having like a business I love, I make the money I love, and now thinking about, okay, if I actually made 10 times more in my business, would I travel to different places? Would I feel different? I already have a pretty exciting life. Like, what would next level mean for me? Otherwise, I can't create it. So, yeah, knowing what you want is a big step. And then the question is, what don't you want anymore? Where and how have you actually been conforming? Reach for the stars. Like in your mind, you can hone into desires, whether you believe they are possible or not. Dare to think big. And as I said, the more you focus on the question what you actually want, the more answers will come to you. And don't give up after one day. Like when you do it one day, thinking about what don't I do, or what don't I want to, like what don't I like to do anymore, and what would I like for my life. This doesn't happen in one day. Like, take this question with you day after day, and you will gain more clarity. Keep journaling, keep thinking, keep putting focus in your daily life on situations where you conform, where you do things because you think you should and not because you want. It's a big question. Do you do things because you should? You think you should do it that way? Or do you things because you want to do them that way? I can give you countless examples from my own life and obviously from my clients' lives. Following a career that doesn't light you up, or keeping a business running which doesn't bring you joy or money anymore, just because you started it and you think you have to keep going. Because this is how you should do it, how you do it in society. You keep doing, you keep following through, you don't give up. Or like following strategies in business that bore the hell out of you. Like, understand where you have been conforming, or that you wear clothes that feel uncomfortable, or that you don't show off your body even though you'd like to. You would like to show your body because you love your body, or the other way around, that you show your body or you show off your body even though you'd like to cover up. You feel uncomfortable. And you think in our society, in our Western society, people walk around half naked and you hate it. So where have you been conforming? Or that you think you have to be loud, even though you'd like to just spend time with yourself and not be loud and not be extroverted. Or the other way around, that you hide your voice because you think you are too loud, you are too extroverted. Or that you hustle even though your soul screams for relaxation and letting go of doing. That you grind, keep on grinding even though your body yearns for sleep, for doing nothing, for weeks. For going on holidays, for doing fun things, doing things you have never done before. I could give you thousands of examples. You really have to find your own ways of how you have been conforming to things and behaviors that are not you, that you don't want to do. And you know, this inner work alone is deep. If you only did that, you'd already change your whole reality. So it's not just inner work. No. With inner work, with the proper inner work, you change your whole reality. Because you'll show up differently in the world. Whether you want or not, you will show up differently. And by the way, If you want to take this work deeper, if you want to take this work further, reach out to me because, I give you bits and pieces you can work on. And obviously, to do the proper work, I can properly guide you. So reach out to me if you know that you have been one of those conforming souls. I for sure have. There are still ways I keep on conforming. I'm not free of that entirely. However, I have done a great chunk of work on that already. What is the next step then? The next step is the actual action, the practice. The first thing was the inner work, and now the next step, or they are intertwined. The other step is the actual practice, the action part. So once you know what you want, or you have further clarity on what you want and what you don't want anymore, then comes the next challenge, and that is to follow through. For example, to ask for what you want. This is really one of the bravest things to do. It is the hardest thing to do. Really, believe me, asking for what you want is for people who grew up into being conforming adults. This is one of the most challenging things to learn. If you have grown into a conforming adult, now asking for what you want is like a huge challenge because you always think you're not doing the right thing. You are asking for something you want and you are not asking or not doing what other people want you to do. So practice in small steps. Ask the small questions, the seemingly insignificant ones. Because the more positive feedback you get, the more confidence you build in asking for what you want. And start saying no to what you don't want anymore. And you can actually start this practice with yourself. So you don't have to start it with other people, start it with yourself. Give to yourself what you desire in the outside world. Back to sex. If you want to experience more pleasure in your sex life, learn to pleasure yourself. Learn the voice of your body, of your own body. What turns you on? Awaken your own body. How can you expect someone else to give you what you want if you don't know it yourself? How should this actually work? And again, this practice can change everything for you. As I said, if you need more information, just reach out to me via the contact link in my show notes. Another example, if you want more intimacy with others, be intimate with yourself first. If you want more abundance, more wealth, create a rich environment for yourself. And this is not related to money. Rich experiences, diverse experiences. This can happen through sitting, as I'm sitting here in the grass. There is a little castle where we are staying tonight. I can look around. Here are horses. I can focus on the richness of the world around me. I can choose the perspective I'm taking. Where am I looking? Am I looking at super dry grass to my left? Am I looking at the rich green trees? I can focus on wealth and abundance around me. So I don't even own this castle. But still, I'm staying in a castle tonight. That's a rich experience. And I have to find that in myself first. I have to create an idea, an imagination, a feeling of abundance and wealth in myself if I want to create this in the outside world. So learn to tap into what you want with yourself first, and then ask for it. Ask people for help. Ask people for what you want. There is nothing bad about asking. People can always say no. And learn to say no yourself. Go step for step. You don't have to change your whole experience in one evening or 1 week. This takes time. Recondition yourself to be more of yourself every day. And, very important, celebrate every win. I celebrate small sentences I say where I ask something I wouldn't have dared to a year ago. If it's just a small sentence, for example, I feel bad because I'm doing something. Let's think about an example. Yeah, actually, I do have a very recent example. We went out for dinner and I didn't get the dessert I wanted because there was a misunderstanding. And just a year ago, I would have just eaten it. I would have just eaten it and not say anything. And then, no, I said sorry. I didn't say sorry. I said I ordered something different. Can we work this out? So just this small act of going for what I want instead of conforming. You don't even have to agree with the example. Perhaps you would say, I would have eaten that. So it's not about the actual situation. It is about where I came from. In my former life, I would have just taken what I got. And there, no, I said, I want something different. I say no, and then we can see if they say it's not possible or whatever, you have to pay 20 euros more, I can still decide what happens. It was about the small, first uncomfortable act for me to say I ordered something differently. And for me, it was uncomfortable. Oh, some horses. And for other people, this would have been normal. So find your own way of what is normal for you and what not. Another example. In former days, if someone can't pay my bill, if a client can't pay my bill, I would have just said, okay, whatever, pay me later. And now I don't do that anymore. I own my price. And even though it is, when it comes to conforming and doing what I think pleases the other person, it wouldn't have been easy or I wouldn't have done it. Now I do it that way. Or when you're thinking about what to do with your partner, what to do with friends, where to go, a people pleaser or a person who conforms easily usually doesn't know what he or she wants, or she wouldn't say it. It would be, okay, we just do what the group wants. And stepping out of that, gaining clarity on what you want, and then voicing that and asking for, yeah, let's do that in front of the whole group. Say what you want, and then actually, working out that you do that. That can be a big thing for you. Or working with a coach and telling that coach that you don't want to follow that strategy because it doesn't feel aligned for you. I had this with one of my clients, we were like, she was working out her one-to-one because somehow she had this feeling she had to do it in a similar way than I do it, to just figure out later on that she's actually not very excited about one-to-one work. She wants to do group programs. And this process is super important to figure out what you want, that you don't want to do one-to-one work. And you don't have to do that just because your coach does that. What I do is not the right thing for everyone, And this can be a big step to step out of what you think is the right thing to do just because someone else does it and follow your own intuition. Back to sex. It might be super uncomfortable to ask for something because you think, oh, you don't do that. Or you think, I don't know if my partner likes that. And then to dare to ask, to communicate in the bedroom. Like so many people don't do that. First of all, people have no idea what they want themselves. And then they are afraid or ashamed to ask for what they want. So you can, whether you start in the bedroom, whether you start with yourself, whether you start in business, just start somewhere and you will have like radical shifts in your whole life, in every area. So this episode was all about how to let go of conforming. There is obviously so much more to say about it. First step is to gain clarity on it. Do the inner work, gain clarity on what you want, what you don't want to do anymore. Release decades of conforming behavior and conforming thoughts and take your time. Give yourself time. Be compassionate with yourself. And then the next step is to take action, to follow through. Either with yourself first, through saying no, or to ask for what you actually want. Did you like this podcast episode? Then I would be super grateful if you gave me a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. And please subscribe to the podcast and share it with people who you know can benefit from it. You can find all links to my social media profiles, my website and contact form in the show notes. And whenever you are ready to activate wealth consciousness on a totally new level, and you're ready to activate deep aliveness and next level magnetic radiance, live a life of more on all levels, then send me a message with where you want to go and what is keeping you stuck where you are, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for listening, and until the next episode, much love to you.